How are you guys doing tonight? I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV, and welcome to another 5 talking points video after our very hard fought 1-1 draw against Wolves last night. In today's video I'm going to be talking about Calum Hudson-Odoi, I'm going to be talking about Ruben and why he's the missing link in midfield that Sarri'S needed. I'm going to be talking about Chelsea fans, I'm going to be talking about teams that park the bus, and I'm also going to be talking about Sarri using a 4-2-3-1 system last night and what this potentially means for the future. But before I get into anything, today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball App. Why is the OneFootball App worth downloading? Well, that's because of the convenience in regards to which you can get your information. Now, if that's transfer news, player news, injury news, fixture lineups, anything you want, you get access to all of this by following the player or club of your choice. Once you do that, the OneFootball App sends you alerts letting you know all the latest news on the player or the club. It's a worthwhile feature to have, and if you want to download the app or just help me out, go to the link in the description below. Moving straight into my first talking point, that's in regards to Sarri using a 4-2-3-1 system. Now, Sarri did what tons of fans have been hoping for a very long time. He used a different formation. We used a 4-2-3-1 against Wolves last night. But what does this actually tell us? Does this mean that Sarri is working on a plan B? Well, if it was a potential plan B, maybe it does make sense. Now, key areas in this team in which we definitely struggle in is the fact that we don't score enough goals, and when Ruben isn't playing in midfield, our number 8s just don't do anything. And in that sense, if Sarri does use a 4-2-3-1, it means that he can have more attacking players on the pitch, and also it does something as well. It means that Kante gets to play in the pivot again, and I know that's going to make a lot of fans very happy to see Kante playing in that position. But before anyone gets excited by this idea, there's one massive reality that we can't forget, and that's the fact that we know that if Kante plays in the midfield too, Kante's game is to push forward and win the ball and press high. He's not a defensive midfield player, and remember, we are a possession team, meaning that we're going to have most of the ball in the opposition half. So naturally that means Kante does have to be the guy that is going to break midfield lines and go forward. And because of that, that means that you can't use Jorginho beside him. Now, Sarri came out yesterday talking about the fact that he needed to sub with Jorginho because playing in this type of formation doesn't get the best out of him. And for me, the reason is quite obvious. And that reason is if you're playing in the midfield too, it means that you have to run more. And Jorginho just isn't that type of player. He isn't going to cover tons and tons of grounds. And for me, the only two players that could be used alongside Kante in a potential 4-2-3-1 is either Cover or Danny Drinkwater. And to be fair, that could potentially work. But for me, I kind of see it as like a best of both worlds approach. Now, we've seen with Sarri recently that he has been willing to adapt. He's looking at tweaking things within the system, tweaking things with the players he's using as well. And I think that the 4-2-3-1 system will be the go-to formation if we're playing against a very defensive team, or if we have to go all-out attack. I can see 4-2-3-1 coming back, but currently I think that's the only use for the system so far. I felt that quite a lot of times during the game against Wolves. We were quite narrow playing in that system, and for me, ideally, if you're going to play 4-2-3-1, you've got to do it like Bayern Munich. You need to have the fullbacks pushing forward to overlap and stretch your play. That's the only way to do it right. But it's good that Sarri is working on a plan B, and I feel like, you know, he's done so much recently to really give fans some extra confidence in regards to why they should be a bit more patient with Sarri. Moving on to the second talking point, that's in regards to Ruben and why he's been the missing link that Sarri's needed. Now, there is a missing link in the team. I keep saying that there's many reasons and there's so much context in regards to why we should sympathise with Sarri a bit, and that missing link is the number 8 position. When Ruben isn't playing in midfield, we are a man short in the final thirds. Let's not forget that the number 8 in a Sarri team is one of the most important positions. Number 1, they have to help link the attack. They need to provide goals for the team. They need to have that galvanizing effect as well. And the way they play should help the team become more effective in the final third. But Sarri has had to rely upon Cover and Barkley throughout the season, more times actually than I think he's wanted to. I mean, let's not forget that in January, we were so close to signing Barella and Paredes. There's a massive reason why Sarri wants midfield enforcements, and he wanted them in the January window That's because he knows that he can't rely upon some of the players in the squads. And Ruben's always been that missing link that this team's needed. Other than Kante, Ruben is our best midfield player. When he plays, the team gets galvanised. He makes players play better. He's that supporting player that players need as well because he breaks the lines and moves forward. He's very good playing between the lines and in the half space. He has a goal threat. His movement off the ball is very underrated as well. Plus, he takes responsibility in the final third. He's always the passing option. He makes things happen every single time. And is it really a surprise that when Ruben comes on, we tend to play better in the final thirds? It's quite clear that Sarri rates him very highly. He has become that go-to guy off the bench for now. Once he's fully fit, as Sarri's been saying time and time again, I'm expecting to see him become a first team player. The main reason why Sarri hasn't been using Ruben has been because he isn't fully match fit. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've fallen victim to this a few times as well because sometimes you don't get any information, but eventually it does come out. And I think that this is another reason why we need to be more patient with Sarri once Ruben is fully fit. Once he's fully firing and back playing first team football, the team's gonna look even better. Imagine someone like him and Hazard in the final thirds. Come on. Moving on to the third talking point, that's in regards to Callum Hudson-Odoi's performance last night. Now, I'm not gonna lie, you guys, you know that I get a bit frustrated whenever I read reactionary opinions. Now, it doesn't annoy me the most because I feel like people just ignore so much context every single time because it shows that you don't care about context. Now, after Callum's average display against Wolves, and you know what? I'm gonna be honest, even when he was average, I didn't see a difference between Callum's average display with Willian or Pedro's. But anyway, after one average display, people start coming out saying things like Sarri's right, he's not as good as he thinks he is, he needs to humble himself a bit more, he's not as good right now, and this is why Sarri's been justified in using Pedro and Willian over him. Everything was coming out after one average display, and it's like, wow, are people forgetting that this guy is 18 years old? 18 years old. He's young, he hasn't fully developed, it's his first time playing a lot of first team football this season, and what people always forget too, he's only going to get better and he's going to develop. Now, when I want Callum to play, one of the main reasons and benefits as to why I want to see him play more is because the more games he plays, the quicker he's going to develop, the quicker he's going to get better, and I think in the long term, it's going to be much more beneficial for us. Callum needs games like last night because it's only going to help improve him as a player. Next time he plays a very compact team, he's going to have some different ideas in regards to how he can combat that team, and he's going to learn how to become more effective against opposition teams like this. He's not supposed to be perfect just yet, and I just think that sometimes, well, I know why. I think because most people don't really watch any of the youth players or really watch too much football outside of Chelsea, viewpoints become very narrow. I mean, come on, look at Mbappe for example. Against Man United, he was completely awful, but are you going to dismiss the player because of that game? Of course not. I remember when I saw a young Cristiano Ronaldo at Man United. Listen, when Ronaldo was between 18 to 20, he wasn't anywhere near the same player he is now. He was all about the skills, he wasn't as effective in the final third, but over time, because he had some amazing attributes which Callum has, that was worked on over time, and he became the legendary player he is today. This is what development's about. Callum isn't supposed to be a world beater at this age, he's supposed to be learning and developing. Sometimes I feel like fans' expectations aren't as grounded as they should be, and I think that sometimes this is why people get set up for failure. When you're expecting and demanding the impossible and it doesn't come, no wonder you're going to get angry whenever you don't get a result going your way. Last night was good for his development, it was good for his education, and knowing the mentality of the player, he's only going to come back even hungrier, trying to impress in his next game. Moving on to my fourth talking point, that's in regards to park the bus teams. Now for me, I watched the game again, and honestly, I still have the same opinion. I still think that Wolves were just so resolute. Let's not forget just how negative and defensive they were. They didn't care about pressing. A lot of people are giving their opinions in regards to what Sarri should have done. I know the popular thing is the players need to drop a bit deeper to force Wolves on them. But again, whenever people have these opinions, you're not thinking about the opposition too often as fans. We never think about the opposition when we talk about football or talk about the game. Wolves' game plan was to defend very deep. They didn't want to leave their position. They weren't looking to press, they wanted to keep compact and stay deep. There were times in the game where they had about 9-10 players inside their own box. That's how defensive they were. And we had about 14 shots that were blocked. 14. That just gives you a picture of just how defensive and just how many men stay back for Wolves. Now, playing against teams this negative is very hard. I mean, look at someone like a Man City and Liverpool this season. Their third year playing under Pep and Klopp. You think by now, from how people are talking about our performance last night, Liverpool and Man City should be winning this game against the same exact opposition like Wolves last night, 3 or 4-0. But that's not the case. And is it really a surprise that Wolves have got results against Liverpool and Man City this season? Of course not. And these are teams way ahead in their football development under their managers. So this is what I mean. We have to respect the opposition. Now, yes, I understand why people were criticising how slow the play was at times. But again, I personally feel the context for yesterday's game was different because Wolves were just that good. I've seen games like this before where we don't get back in the game and we lose. And I feel like people were quite dismissive of that, even though I thought we did quite a lot to get back in the game. When it comes to games played at that level, a lot of it comes down to the individual talent and ability of the players. There's a reason why a lot of teams decide to defend very deep against a Man City, for example, because they're scared about what guys like the Silvers, what guys like De Bruyne, Sterling, Sonny can do against them. We've shown that we do quite a lot of good things under Sarri'S so far, but when it comes to anything that requires execution in the system, we're not seeing that just yet. And it comes down to the personnel. One thing I want to say before I end this point is, throughout the season, fans constantly moan about players like Pedro's and Williams and Alonso's and all these types of players. We all do it, let's be serious. And the thing that us fans always moan about is how most of our players aren't good enough. Until we strengthen in these areas or have players more suited to this style of football, we're always going to struggle a bit in that sense. But it's good to see that with our current run of good form, we were able to get back in the game because, this is a game I've seen over the years time and time again that we don't get anything from. And on my final point, that's in regards to Chelsea fans. Now, throughout this 5 talking points video, I've been alluding to, how we think about the game as fans. I was saying earlier that a lot of people set their expectation levels way too high, and I think it's a bit unrealistic. I've been alluding to the fact that a lot of people don't take a lot of things into context when they're giving their points and opinions. I understand we get frustrated when we don't get a result. I understand that. A lot of things fans want the team to do, they can't really do that. And it's like, I don't understand why, particularly this season, why all the previous seasons have been dismissed so quickly. Fans are talking about things as if we haven't struggled with these same issues over the years. We've never been a team that clinical or that good. I made this point earlier. We've played defensive football, counter-attacking football, now possession football, and we're not masters of any of that. You know why we're not masters of any of that? Because we never do the most with any particular style of play. Fans moaning at the manager and booing the players on the pitch, I don't understand. I tweeted yesterday during the first half an hour of that game, you can hear the crowd in the background applauding for things happening on the pitch. 10-15 minutes later, when the first half's over, everyone's booing. I do feel like people are misdirecting their anger and their frustrations at the club towards Sarri. Yeah, I understand that he is bringing a different style of football, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that our past is dismissed because of that. It just means that we're trying to do something different and new to stay up with the current clubs in Europe. Now listen, if we had a lot of 6-foot players still playing for us, I'd accept and understand if we played a much more direct game similar to an Atletico Madrid. But looking at the players we have in the team, there's only one style of football we can play, and the only way to get better at that style of football is by working on the training pitch and playing more. We've seen that with previous styles. It hasn't got the best out of the team. We've seen that this decade in particular, we've missed out on European football how many times? We've needed a new direction, we need a philosophy at the club. It's been the main reason why we've been such a start and stop club since Roman's taken over. That needs to stop. Now Sarri is the stepping stone towards a much more long-term positive future. Think about it like this, I know a lot of people are advocates for Lampard and Morris. Really preferred guys like Lampard and Morris to come when Sarri's already built a squad. Casting minds back to when Ranieri first took over at Chelsea, he worked with guys like Terry, Gallas, Lampard, a lot of young players. By the time Ranieri left and Mourinho took over, these guys were ready to play and they were ready to win. In a sense, that's the reboot we're going for. But again, I just don't understand why fans have been so unfair. I mean, I saw much worse under Conte and Mourinho. Some of the games we played under these managers were embarrassing. They're awful. We did nothing. And people have forgotten that. People are telling themselves that Sarri's worse. No, he isn't. Expect me to talk about this much more later on this week. I'm most likely going to do another live stream again, so stay tuned for that. But you guys, thank you for watching today's 5 talking points video. I'm NiniFC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.